Barack Obama's inaugural address 2009. The President, Vice President Nick Biden, Mr. Chief Justice, members of the United States Congress, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens. Each time we gather to inaugurate a president, we bear witness to the enduring strength of our Constitution. We affirm the promise of our democracy. We call what binds this nation together is not what the color of our skin or the tenets of our faith or the origin of our name. What makes us exceptional, what makes us American, is the allegiance to the idea articulated in a declaration made more than 2 centuries ago. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today we continue our never-ending journey to bridge the meaning of those words with the reality of our time. For our history tells us that while these truths may be self-evident, they've never been self-executing. That while freedom is a gift from God, it must be secured by His people here on earth. The patriots of 1776 did not fight to replace the tyranny of a king with the privilege of a few or a rule of a mob. They gave us a republic, a government of and by and for the people, entrusting each generation to keep safe our founding creed. And for more than 200 years we have, through blood drawn by lash and blood drawn by sword, we learned that no union founded on the principle of liberty and equality could survive half slave and half free. We made ourselves anew and vowed to move forward together. Together we determined that modern economy requires railroads and highways to speed travel and commerce, schools and colleges to train our workers. Together we discovered that a free market only thrives when there are rules to ensure competition and fair play. Together we resolved that a great nation must care for the vulnerable and protect its people from life's worst hazards and misfortune. Through it all, we have never relinquished our skepticism of central authority, nor have we succumbed to the fiction that all society's ills can be secured through government alone. Our celebration of initiative and enterprise, our insistence on hard work and personal responsibility, these are constants in their character. But we have always understood that when times change, so must we. The fidelity of our founding principles requires a new response to new challenges, and preserving our individual freedom ultimately requires collective action. The American people can no more meet the demands of today's world by acting alone than American soldiers could have met the force of fascism or communism with muskets and militia. No single person can train with the maths and science teacher would need to equip our children for the future or build the roads and network and research labs that bring new jobs and businesses to our shore. Now, more than ever, we must do these things together as one nation and one people. This generation of Americans has been tested by crises that steel our resolve and proved our resilience. Our decade of war is now ending, and American recovery has begun. American possibilities are limitless, for we possess all the qualities that the world without boundaries demands: youth and drive, diversity and openness, and endless capacity for risk and a gift for invention. My fellow Americans, we are made of this moment, and we will seize it. As so long as we seize it together. For we the people understand that our country cannot succeed when a shrinking few do well and a growing many barely make it. We believe that American prosperity must rest upon the broad shoulders of a rising middle class. We know that Americans thrive on when every person can find the independence and pride in their work, when the wages of honest labor liberate families from the brink of hardship. We are true to our creed when a little girl born in the bleakest poverty knows that she has the same chance to succeed as anybody else, because she is an American, she is free, she is equal, not just in the eyes of God, but also in our own. We understand that the outright programs are inadequate to the needs of our time. So we must harness new ideas and technologies to remark our governments, revamp the tax code, reform our skills, and empower our citizens with the skills they need to work harder, learn more, reach higher. But while the means will change, our purpose endures. A nation that rewards the efforts of determination of every American, that is what the moment requires. That is what will give real meaning to our creed. We, the people, still believe that every citizen deserves a basic measure of security and dignity. We must make the hard choice to reduce the cost of health and care and size our deficit. But we must regret the belief that Americans must choose between caring for the generation that built this country and investing in the generation that built and will build its future. For remember that lessons of our past when twilight years was spent in poverty and parents of a child with a disability are nowhere to turn. We do not believe that in this country freedom is reserved for the lucky or happiness for the few. We recognize that no matter how responsible we live in our lives, any one of us at any time we face a job loss or sudden illness at home swept away in a terrible storm. The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid, of Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative and strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers. They free us to take the risk and make this country great. We, the people, still believe that our obligations, our Americans, are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity. We will respond to the threats of climate change, knowing that the failure to do so would betray our children and future generations. Some may still deny the overwhelming judgment of science, but none can avoid the devastating impact of raging fires and crippling droughts and more powerful storms. The path towards sustainable development energy sources will be long and sometimes difficult, but America cannot resist this transition, must lead it. We cannot cede to other nations the technology that will power new jobs and new industries. We must climb to its promise. That's how we will maintain our economic vitality and the national treasure, our forests and waterways, our croplands and snow-capped peaks. That is how we will preserve our planet commanded by cared by God. That's what will lend meaning to the creed our fathers once declared. We, the people, still believe that enduring security and lasting peace do not require perpetual war. Our brave men and women in the uniform tempered by the flames of battle are unmatched in skill and courage. Our citizens ensured in the memory of those who have lost know too well the price that is paid for liberty. The knowledge of their sacrifice will keep us forever vigilant against those who would do us harm. But we also are to know who won the peace and not just the war, who turned sworn enemies to the surest friends. And we must carry those lessons into this time as well. We will defend our people and uphold their values with the strength of arms and rule of law. We will show the courage to try and resolve our differences with the other nations peacefully, not because we are naive about the danger of fights, but because the engagement can more durably lift suspicion and fear. American will remain the anchor of strong alliance in every corner of the globe, and we will renew those institutions that extend the capacity to manage crisis aboard. For no one has a greater stake in the more peaceful world than a more powerful nation. We will support democracy in Asia to Africa, from the Americas to the Middle East, because our interest and the conscience compel us to act on behalf of those who long for freedom, and we must be the source of hope, the poor, the sick, the marginalized, the victim of prejudice, not because out of mere charity, but because peace is our principle. Peace in our time requires the constant advance of those principles that our common creed describes: tolerance and opportunity, human dignity and justice. We, the people, declare today that the most evidence of truth that all of us are created equal is the star that guides us still. Just as it guided our forebears with Seneca Falls, Selma, and the Stone Wall. Just as it guided those men and women, sung and unsung, those who left footprints along the Great Mall, to hear a preacher say that we cannot walk alone, to hear the King proclaim that our individual freedom is inextricably bound to the freedom of every soul on earth. It is now our generation's task to carry out on what those pioneers began. For our journey is not complete until our wives, our mothers, and daughters can earn a living equal to their effort. Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the law we commit to one another must be equal. Our journey is not complete until no citizen is forced to wait for hours to exercise his right to vote. Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who still use America as a land of opportunity. Until bright young students and engineers are enlisted in our workforce rather than expelled from our country. Our journey is not complete until all our children, the streets of Detroit, to the hills of Appalachia, to the quiet lanes of Newtown, know that they are cared for and cherished and always safe from harm. That is a generation task to make these words, these rights, these values of our life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness real for every American. Being true to our founding documents does not require us to agree to every contour of life. It does not mean that we all define liberty in exactly the same way or follow the same precise path of happiness. Progress does not compel us to settle centuries-long debates or the role of government for all times, but it requires us to act in our time. For now decisions are upon us, and we cannot afford delays. We cannot make mistake absolutism for principle or substitute spectacle for politics or treat name calling a reasonable debate. We must act knowing that our work will be imperfect. We must act knowing that today's victories will be only a partial, that it will be up to those who stand here for 4 years and 40 years and 400 years and advance the timeless spirit once conferred to us in the spare Philadelphia whole. My fellow Americans, the oath I have sworn before you today, like the one recited by others to serve in the Capitol, was an oath to guard the country, not a party faction. And you must faithfully execute that pledge during the duration of the service. But the words I spoke today are not different from the oath that is taken each time a soldier signs up for duty or an immigrant realizes his her dream. Our oath is not different from the pledge we all make to a flag that waves above and that fills our heart with pride. They are the words of citizens and respect our greatest hope. You and I, as citizens, have the power to save this country's cause. You and I, citizens, have the obligation to shape the debates of our times. Not only do we have the votes to be cast, but with the votes we lived in defense of our most ancient values and enduring ideals. Let us, each of us, we have now embraced a solemn duty and awesome joy with what is our lasting birthright, with common efforts and common purpose, with passion and dedication. Let us answer the call of history and carry into an uncertain future that precious light of freedom. Thank you. God bless you, and may He forever bless us, these United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.